Fighting continues in Syria's key city of Aleppo, with troops trying to halt a rebel advance. The country's commercial hub has been plagued by fierce street battles for several days since opposition fighters began their assaults. And let's now get the details from RT's Oksana Boyko, who's one of the few remaining international correspondents in Syria. Oksana, Syria's city of Aleppo has now become the battlefront for the government troops and the rebels. What are the details you are hearing there?
Well, Yulia, first of all, let me tell you that I'm coming to you live from Damascus, not from Aleppo. And here in Damascus, life is coming back to normal after those deadly weeks that we've seen so far. Now, as you can probably see behind me, the traffic is flowing freely. People going out around their business. Some go out at night. And there are very few signs that remind Damascus residents about the terror and the fear that they experienced just this past week when the city witnessed a major terror attack and then a major military operation. It seems that the clashes indeed have moved to Aleppo, which is Syria's largest city, its commercial hub, the center of its industrial activity. Over the past few days, Aleppo has been at the center of a major military operation. We know that the army, the Syrian army, used tanks, used fighter jets, military helicopters to strike its targets. We also know from various sources on the ground that the Free Syrian Army has also enlisted a lot of support for its operations in Aleppo. They are calling it the battle for Aleppo, and there are some reports that on the eve of this battle, they received major reinforcement and new supplies of the military equipment, or new supplies of arms from Turkey and Saudi Arabia. Now, in these clashes, Aleppo has already sustained significant damage to its infrastructure, and the death toll is believed to be in the hundreds. Here's what one resident of Aleppo told us.
There were attacks on many police and intelligence centers in the city by opposition, members of what we call Syrian Free Army. There are civil social organizations, volunteers that are trying to help those people. I think the big willing for people in Syria is seeing the change in a quiet, in a peace, in a political way, not by guns or forces.
Now, when you talk about Syria, what's important to keep in mind is the sequence of events. It is true that the Syrian army is employing heavy artillery in the city. It is true that civilians may be dying in the clashes, though Syrian army, of course, believes and says that all those clashes, all those casualties rather, are unintentional. But when the Syrian tanks roll on into the city, it's important to keep in mind that they are conducting their military operations in response to terror attacks that have been happening in the city, that have been happening in Aleppo for several months. I visited Aleppo around 3 months ago, and already the city was damaged by all this struggle. There are a lot of cases of industrial terrorism when whole factories were set on fire because their owners were believed to be Assad sympathizers, or because they refused to pay the so-called revolutionary duty, the revolutionary tax that the Free Syrian Army attempted to impose on local businesses to finance its operations. So in any country, if you are faced with disruptions to life, the government would be required to respond. And many residents of Aleppo are telling us that they are actually they don't understand why it took the government so long to conduct those military operations, because they've been suffering from this criminal activity for quite some time. Now, the residents of Aleppo are also telling us that before this military operation was launched, the army helped to evacuate the residents, local residents. Most of them are now stationed at the campus of the Aleppo University. Residents from other locations are sending food to the campus. So at least on one level, Syrian people were able to come together and try to help each other. And what's important to stress also is that Aleppo is believed to be the stronghold for both the Bashar al-Assad government and for the opposition. It's home to a major university. There are a lot of liberal intellectuals over there who took part in the protest, and many of them do not support Bashar al-Assad. But most people I've spoken to, they say what they want now is the violence to stop, and then they can proceed with the political process.
RT's Oksana Boyko reporting there live from Damascus. Oksana, many thanks indeed for that update.